Good morning and welcome everyone to this info session on the new modalities of submission of proposals via the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal, piloted at EFSA level by the ongoing call for the selection of hosting sites and fellows under the EUFORA program. My name is Cristina Alonso Andicoberri from the Engagement and External Relations Unit at EFSA, and together with my colleagues Donna Lucas from EFSA's Finance Unit and Dave Bird from the Directorate for Research and Innovation at the European Commission, will be conducting this info session. Before we get started, let me check some practical issues about this session. Okay, here we are. In the event of technical issues, please contact my colleague Francesco Mortali. He will copy now his email address in the chat box, so you can contact him in case you experience technical issues. The event is being recorded and the recording will be made available on EFSA website together with the questions and answers to the answers of the questions we receive. In any case, the questions and answers box is already enabled. Please help us prioritize those questions that are going to be addressed during this session by using the thumbs up, so the voting system. Similar questions are going to be grouped. So if you see a question that is similar to the one you're going to ask, please use the voting system instead of asking it again. But in any case, no worries that we know that there won't be time. There will be no time to answer all the questions during the session, but all questions will be answered in writing, and the replies will be made available together with the recording on EFSA's website. The content of this info session has been structured as follows. First, a short introduction on the European Food Risk Assessment EUFORA Fellowship Programme. Then some specifics on the ongoing call for the selection of hosting sites and fellows for the EUFORA program 2023-2024, followed by a live demo on the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal. At the end, we will address the questions that we received in the chat box. So why EUFORA? This fellowship program, the European Food Risk Assessment Fellowship Program, fits under EFSA Strategy 2027, concretely under strategic objective number 2, ensure preparedness for future risk analysis needs. EUFORA was born in 2016 under the EFSA Strategy 2020 with 3 very well-defined objectives that have evolved into much wider objectives, as we can see under the current strategy 2027, as we can see on the right side of the slide, to increase the pool of experts available in Europe, to stimulate the member state involvement in risk assessment work, and to build a common EU culture for risk assessment. EUFORA so far, we can see here a nice picture of all the alumni, or a vast majority of the alumni members last week during the RARA event in Berlin. Since the beginning of the program in 2017, the beginning of the first cohort, 87 alumni members have entered, or 87 members have entered the alumni, so we have 87 graduated fellows. There are 15 ongoing fellows that are being trained right now under the current cycle. We have cooperated with 46 different hosting sites in 16 member states and UK, and we have cooperated with over 70 supervisors. How does it work? Well, right now, 2 organizations, a fellow sending organization that has identified a fellow to be trained, and a hosting organization that has proposed a work program, applying consortium. The fellowship lasts for 12 months, during which time the fellow is released from his/her regular tasks to follow a program offered by the hosting site. Although most of the program is going to be followed remotely from the fellow sending organization, around 1/3 of the time will be spent at the hosting site, during which time the fellow will gain first-hand experience and also will be able to enhance knowledge exchange and network. The fellowship is complemented by 7 weeks of training, a 3-week induction training happening in EFSA at the beginning of the fellowship, and then 4 one-week modules along the year of fellowship. One of them is also scheduled to happen in person. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Donna for some specifics of the ongoing call for the selection of hosting sites and fellows. Donna, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Christina. If we could move to the next slide, please. Okay, so the EU-FORA call for this cycle was launched on the 8th of November in 2022. This call will be for the selection of hosting sites and for 15 fellows. Now, the proposal deadline for this call for proposals is the 15th of March 2023. Now, as with previous years, we ask for applications from consortium of 2 Article 36 organisations, which must be from a different member state or from Iceland or Norway. So like last year, a consortium, obligatory consortium of 2 Article 36 organisations. The grant agreement duration will be from September 2023 until August 2024. So that will include also the induction training of the fellows right through until the final report is submitted on the implementation of the work programme. Next slide, please. Now, the hosting site for this particular grant agreement will be the leader of the consortium, and it is the consortium partner to which we will pay the grant amount. Now, overall, 55,000 euros is available for the grant agreement, so that is per consortium and per fellow. And that 55,000 is to be split between the partners, but the way that split is made is not prescribed by EFSA. There is no need also for this grant to justify that costs have been incurred to 55,000. This form of grant is financing not linked to cost, so as long as the work programme is implemented and reaches the agreed quality standards set out in the call for proposals, the 55,000 euros will be paid without the need to justify precisely the costs. Now, the work programme, as Christina said, will be performed remotely with a stay of between 3 to 5 months at the hosting site. The remaining time, the fellow would be at their home organisation. Now, it's also important to note in this call that there is a requirement that the fellow remains as a staff member of their organisation. So no payment is going to be needed from the hosting site to the fellow. So here we have the important nuance of this call, and one of the reasons why we're holding this webinar today so early after the launch of the call. We really need to bring to your attention the fact that this call is the first grant call for EFSA, where we will use the EU funding and tender opportunities portal, both for the publication of the call, but also for the e-submission, for electronic submission of proposals in response to this call. So important for you to note that hard copy paper applications for this call will be refused. The only electronic application, applications will be accepted are electronic applications, which will use the EU funding and tenders portal. Okay, on this slide, which will be made available to you after the presentation, you can see there the reference for the call, EUBA EFSA 2022 NREL 02. So if you go to the EU funding and tenders portal, you will see If you search on that call reference, you can also find that call on the EFSA website, and clicking on the links on the EFSA website under that call, you will also be able to go to the EU Funding and Tenders portal to see all the information that you will need in order to make your application. Now, an important nuance of the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal is that there is also the possibility of a search for partners, a functionality within the tool that allows you to search for your partner in what is an obligatory consortium grant. Now, we're going to have very shortly a demonstration from our colleague Dave, who will show all the elements that you will need to know to facilitate and help with your application using the e-submission functionality. Okay, so just to conclude there before I hand the floor to Dave, there will be a follow-up info session which will take place on the 7th of February. So we will in effect repeat a lot of the information that we will give today. Also, the information from this session will be recorded and will be on the EFSA website for you to look back at in your own time. Now, further information on the steps and the timelines about the EU-FORA programme can be found on the EFSA website. And if you have any specific questions about this call, you have 2 email addresses that you can refer those questions to. So that's efsaprocurement@efsa.europa.eu and also EUFORA@efsa.europa.eu. So now I will hand the floor to Dave, who's I asked Dave to turn on his camera if he could, please, but I hand the floor to him so that he can explain more about the use of this portal. Thank you, Dave.
Good morning, everybody. No worries, I'm here. Indeed, you're going to be using the Funding and Tenders portal and what we call the eGrants tools to apply for this EFSA call. To get to the submission of this call, there are 3 potential paths you can take. You can go via the EFSA website, as already mentioned. You can go via a direct link if you've received it via an email, or you can Google to the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal, and you can search on EFSA, which will then give you a list of calls, some of which are actually not the call. So, but in fact, it's this one here, the NRL, I believe, 02. Okay. Before we go into applying for the call itself, if we look at the Funding and Tenders portal, you've got some menus here across the top. Okay. Search Funding and Tenders, you don't want to concern yourself too with. How to participate, you might want to go into and take a look and familiarise yourself with the tools a little bit, although I would add already that it's a rather intuitive and simple process to apply for the call. And to be honest, you don't need to dig into the help too much unless you really get stuck. So, but you do have help available. So key steps on how to participate. Okay, it will tell you how to find the project partners. You will need to create an EU login account. This is a first key step. You cannot apply for any call without having an EU login account. Probably most of you already have one. If you don't, you need to get one. Used to be called ECAS in the old days, for people who've been around a while. You will need to register your organisation if you haven't already done so, and get what we call a PIC, Participant Identification Code. This is used for the tools for adding your organisation and the partner organisation to the proposal. Okay, I won't be creating one today, but I will show you briefly how you can do it. And at the moment of submission, it's a very quick and simple process because we ask a minimum of information at that moment in time. Then you will need to put your proposal together. You will need to upload the information, supply some administrative information, and submit the proposal before the deadline. And this is absolutely critical. It's an electronic tool. We have a deadline, I don't remember off the top of my head, but they're always 5 o'clock Brussels local time. And 1 second past 5 after that deadline, you can no longer submit a proposal. So be very, very careful to have your proposal submitted well before that deadline. The good news is it's not a single shot submission approach. You can submit your first good draft of a proposal, so you have something there ready to go, and then you can return to it, update it and change it and resubmit it again, and it will replace the existing submitted proposal each time you resubmit a new version. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Don't wait until the last moment to submit, okay? I mean, it must be said that the tools are been around quite a long time now. It's about 10 years we've been using this in submission. So they're very mature, they're very stable, but things do happen with the internet, your internet connection, your local PC or whatever. You could have an issue if you leave it to the last moment, or you could have come across something that you missed or forgot and you run out of time. So please, please, please submit early and then resubmit again afterwards. So lots of help here, okay, on what to do and how to do it. And then over here we have a support area. Again, there's lots of help information, guidance, manuals, frequently asked questions, and we have help desk services and support videos. I'm not going to dive into these here. It's not the purpose of the presentation today. Today I'm going to focus on the mechanics of how to submit a proposal for this call, okay? Now, in order to apply for a call, like I say, you need to have an EU login. I obviously already have an EU login. So therefore, I would go up here on the top right and click on login. Okay, sign in. Okay. Ignore that message. So now we see the screen has changed, the presentation has changed. Now we have here on the left-hand side what's called My Area. This is important because even though you may not be using the full features of the Funding and Tenders portal, you will be using My Area to return to your proposal once you've created it, and also to manage your organisation if necessary in your pick. So along here on the left, we have My Organisations. You click on that. These are organizations that I've been used basically in proposals. Some of these are real live ones, but most of them are just fake test organizations that we use. Here, for instance, is my organization that I use for demos. Okay. You click on that, you can then go and manage your organization. We're not going to do it. I'm just showing you how you can get back to your organization once you've created the pick. More importantly, you have the My Proposals section. So once you have created a proposal, the way to get back to it is via the My Proposals section. Okay. So here I have lots and lots historically, because I'm always doing sessions like this and testing and God knows what. And here you see, for instance, I have already created a proposal a few days ago for this call. We will be returning to this proposal when I start doing the demo, okay? As I'm not going to create a proposal and put all the content in, it will take too long. But I will create a proposal so you can see the mechanism, and then I will come and I will edit this existing proposal so you can see how we do that as well. Okay, so let's go back to the search. Let's search for the call again with EFSA. Here it is. You click on the link here, selection of hosting sites and fellows. Then you get some generalized information about the call. You need to make sure that this is the call that you want to apply for. Okay. We have some descriptions on the topics, conditions, documents. So there are hyperlinks here that will link you to the annexes. You have the partner search, as was already mentioned. And then most importantly, the start submission. So you have to click on the submission you want to create. Here there's only one, so it's rather straightforward. Start submission. It will ask you, are you sure this is what you want to apply for? Again, you don't have too much choice with the EFSA, but with some of the research calls, there can be hundreds of different topics within the same call, so you need to double check it. And then you confirm, and it will take you to the submission tool. Okay, so the submission tool works a little bit like a tram line. So you have a create proposal, then you have the management of the participants in the proposal, and then you have the proposal form and proposal content itself. So the create proposal is a one shot, of course, but then the participants and the proposal forms, that can be iterated around and resubmitted as many times as you like prior to the call deadline. The screens all look a little bit the same format. So right at the top, you will have the deadline. So it's 15th of March at 1700 Brussels local time. Remember, at 1701 second, you will not be able to submit this call anymore. Very important. You'll have a bit of high level call data here. And then more importantly, you have what we call the download part B templates, which is a zip file that will contain the rich text format documents that you need to save locally and then edit, save as PDF, and then upload back to form the content of your proposal. Then below that, we have some support links. We have the online manual, an IT how-to, an IT help desk link, and an FAQ. But if you do get any issues at all with creating, submitting your proposal, these two links here are the most important ones. So these go directly to the submission support service, which is open between 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening on every business day in Belgium. Okay. So if you do get an issue, what I'd recommend, first send an email so you have something in writing, and then second, call. Okay. These people, they are specialists in dealing with people who have issues creating, submitting proposals. They don't get an awful lot of calls these days compared to the past because the tools are very mature. They're very simple. They don't fail or break very often. Okay, but if you do get stuck for whatever reason, they are there to help you. Do not hesitate. Okay, if you do find after the call deadline, for whatever reason, you have an issue, that issue will be taken much more seriously if you have a dialogue with the help desk. Okay. So what do you do to create a call? To create a proposal, not create a call. First of all, you need to enter your pick. Okay. Now, some of you will have picks, some of you may not have picks. If you've used these tools before for another program, maybe not, you will be presented with the picks that you last used. So the first one that comes up for me is my test pick. And if I click on it, it selects it straight away. Okay. I'm going to do a search for a different pick. So I've been recommended one by the colleagues from EFSA. Answers, let's see if it finds this one. Might not be the best search term, but we can try. I guess this is the correct one, yes? Okay, so Answers already have a pick, so they can immediately use that to apply for the call. I'm not going to create a proposal for Answers because that would pollute their my proposals tab, of course. Now let's say you don't have a pick. The easiest way to create one from here is to do a search, and you can put in any old nonsense, it doesn't really matter. And you don't find it, you know you don't have one, so then you have a link here at the bottom immediately to register your organization. Ah, great. Something went wrong. Typical. That's why you should always do these things in good time. Okay. In fact, it's okay. It was a fake error message. Okay, so now we're in the participants register. I'm not going to create a new organization, but you can see it's very, very simple. You have to put some basic information, legal name, country, registration number, VAT number, so on and so forth. And you basically go through this tram line again with a very, very minimal amount of information, and you will be given a pick. And then you will use that pick to create your proposal. This process of registering an organization takes about 2 minutes. Okay. Why does it take such a short time? Because with the eGrants tools, we don't ask for all of the legal documents at the proposal creation time. We only ask for those if further down the line it looks like you're going to be granted some funds. And then we follow up with okay, give us your profit and loss accounts, your company deeds, and so on. Okay, so it's a very light process at this moment in time. So I'm going to bomb out of that. So I'm back on the tab for creating a proposal. And I don't want to use answers or XYZ. I want to use my test company. So I just click on that again. It takes my pick. It will ask you your role in the proposal. So 99 times out of 100, you will probably be the main contact. So it's not a particularly important differentiation for the EFSA call because you're not going to be using the e-grants tools downstream to do the granting process. But if you were, then the main contact is the person who would be contacted after the evaluation process in order to start forming a grant agreement. Here, that's less important, and you'll have a more, I guess, human contact with the EFSA colleagues for the granting process rather than through our IT tools. But normally speaking, you would be the main contact here. Okay, now why do we have different contact points? Because you can invite multiple contacts per organization into the proposal, and I'll show you that in a minute. You need to provide an acronym. So this is just a meaningful short name for your proposal. Okay, just needs to be Arabic characters, so simple characters, alphabet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hyphens, etc. No funny Chinese characters or Korean or something like that. And then a short summary here. Okay, so this information here will get propagated into the proposal, which you'll see in a moment, into the administrative forms, and you can change it later. Okay, so don't worry too much about what you put here. When you're ready to go, you save it and go to the next step. It gives you a warning that the organization you've chosen will receive a notification that a proposal has been created. So this is to safeguard a bit people creating proposals for organizations that they have nothing to do with. And yes, it does happen. There you go. Then we get a disclaimer. It's boilerplate legal text. Basically, if you don't agree with this, you can't create a proposal. As simple as that. I don't think there's anything contentious in here. You've got a choice that you can obfuscate what we call the pre-registration data. So there is a possibility for EC officials who are authorized to do so. So here, for instance, it might be Muriel or Lisa or the call coordinator who can see a very minimum amount of information prior to the call deadline as to who has created the proposal, the organizations involved, and the status of that proposal. But the content of the proposal, so the essentially the annexes you upload, cannot be viewed until after the call deadline. They're utterly confidential and sealed in a very secure vault. So we have this here for legal reasons, but we request that people, if possible, don't change this because it's useful information to have prior to the deadline of the call, so the colleagues in the Commission know what's coming for the evaluation process. So when you OK the disclaimer, it will then send you to the participants section. Okay, it tells you that you've created a proposal. It gives you the choice to continue with the proposal or go to my proposals. I'm going to just continue with this just for the moment, okay? Just so I can say a few more things. Now we're on a new screen, but you'll see over here on the left, it all looks the same, okay? Don't forget, very important, your Part B templates. I won't download them here. We'll do it on the next screen when we get there because it's a bit more relevant. But what you do on this screen is you manage your consortium. Now this call, to the best of my understanding, can either be mono-beneficiary or with 2 total beneficiaries, a coordinator and a partner. If you don't have a partner, then you can just go to the next step from here. But if you do wish to add a partner, then you will click here, add partner, okay? And I'm going to take one of my other test organizations, again, not to pollute real production companies. Okay, they're coming from Denmark. All right, so I've added a partner and it's immediately asking to give a contact name and details. This is essentially the same information that you gave on the first screen for the coordinating contact. Okay, but it's a little bit different. So first of all, you have to say which role they have. Again, a main contact or a contact person. And every organization in the consortium has to have a main contact. Okay, they have to have a main contact. You cannot submit a proposal if you don't have a main contact for every organization in the consortium. You can then choose to give them access rights. In the case of a main contact, it's full access rights anyway, and I'll explain what they are in the next screen when we get there. Then you put some contact information and an email address. Now, the email address is very important because this email address will be used for two things. First of all, this person will receive a notification to this email address that they have been added as a partner, or as a contact rather, to join into this proposal. Okay, that invites them into the proposal. So they can come and they can click on the URL, they will go to the Funding and Tenders portal, and in their My Proposals tab, they will have access to that proposal. Whether they will be able to view the content of the proposal that you've uploaded and entered, and to a certain degree, make some very, very small changes for their organizational details in the administrative forms. It's very limited. They can only change that one thing. They cannot edit the consortium. They cannot upload documents, but they can view. Mostly it's view rights, okay? So obviously you only want to invite into here people that really are part of the consortium and people that you trust. The other important thing is that this email address should correspond with their EU login account, okay? Because it will make the link between this proposal and their EU login, and then they need to log into the portal with that EU login account linked to this email address. If this email address does not have an EU login, then it will pre-provision an EU login account, send them a mail to continue the process, and they will create a new EU login account, which if they already have one, might be a little bit annoying. So check with your partners first which email they'd like to use in order to be invited into the proposal. Obviously, we cannot do online checks for this and give you a yes or a no when you type in an email address, because it would be used for phishing by scammers. So we could do it, but we cannot do it, unfortunately. So that's the nature of the internet these days. So I'm adding the contact. And then you see we have a consortium. Okay, we have a partner. And then what can we do from here? We can remove that partner. We can look and we can say, oh, we've used the wrong organization, and we can change the organization without changing the rest of the content. We can contact the organization, which will bring up a dialogue to send a message to what we call the LEA of that organization, the legally appointed representative, which is something you will need to appoint when you create your PIC. You will need a legal representative available. You don't see the name of that legal representative. You don't see their email. It's just a web form where they will receive a message behind the scenes. Okay. You can delete, so you can delete this organization, you can add a new one, so on and so forth, and you can add more contacts. So here on the coordinating organization, I can add another contact person. If I've already got a main contact, if I add another main contact, it will replace that person as the main contact rather than the current one I've got. So I'm just going to add another contact, access rights, and then you can say it's read-only or full access. So if you're the coordinating organization and you add a colleague to that with full access rights, they will be able to administer the proposal fully the same as yourself. Okay, so if you're working together with a colleague, you can both have full access to do everything. In this case, I'll just put it as a team member, and it will be actually me again. Okay. That's actually a fake email I put in, so don't go contacting me on it, it won't work. I'm joking. So now you see I have a main contact and a contact person. And this is how you administer the organization, okay? And you can change this organization as many times as you like prior to the call deadline. You can change your coordinating PIC if necessary. You can change everything. But any changes you do make, you have to resubmit the proposal, okay? Or they won't be taken into account. And any changes you make to the organizational structure means you have to revisit the administrative form, what we call the Part A that we're going to see in a moment. Because those organizations, there's more information asked about those organizations in the administrative form. And if you change the consortium, you need to re-edit the form to reflect those changes. Okay. So I'm save and go to next step. So again, it gives you a reminder, changes you made require that you open the administrative form and proposal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And the organization that we've added will be notified, of course. It's a little bit sleepy this morning, but there we go. Okay, so now we're on to the proposal forms. First, I'll talk a little bit around the screen, but then I'm going to go out of here and go back to the proposal already created. But again, you see down the left, it's all the same, no changes. On the right-hand side, you've got two main sections. You've got the administrative forms Part A, and you've got the Part B and annexes. The administrative form, when you click on that, I won't do it here, I'll do it in the other proposal. It takes you into a web page. It looks like a PDF, but in fact, it's a web page where you enter some what we call structured information. That's information that will go into a database. Okay. The Part B and annexes. So these are documents that you will upload. These will come from the templates that are here in the download Part B templates. So when you click on that, of course, it's not doing it in my shared session. Okay, you have to trust me there. It will download the zip file. And in that zip file, you'll have 5 RTF templates, which you can edit in Word or Open Document or pretty much any other word processing tool that you like, because they're open document format, essentially. Each one of these corresponds to one of these annexes. You need to edit those, and you need to save them as PDF format. So then if we go over here, you'll see we have 5, and you see they are red. Okay, what does that mean? And there's an asterisk. It means that they are mandatory. You have to upload a document into each of these slots. Okay, what type of document? It will tell you here. If you click on the I, so first of all, it says it's mandatory. It says it has to be a PDF. The file name has to be simple characters. And the maximum file size is 10 megabytes. Now 10 megabytes is a huge PDF, okay? So it's very, very unlikely you'll hit that limit. And if you do, it's typically because the document has been scanned. So don't scan documents unless you have to. It's better to have, for instance, a Word document that you save in a PDF format. It's much more efficient in terms of space. How do you upload a document? You click on the upload here. I'm not going to do it here. I'll do it on the other proposal, which I'm going to go into right now. So I'm going to close this. So again, you've got your Part A, your Part B. You need to upload all these documents. You need to edit your form that we will see in a moment. And then you can do a submit. But okay, let's bomb out of here. Okay. Then we're back in the funding and tenders portal. And we go to the My Proposals tab. Okay, and then you will see now, actually, I have 2 EFSA proposals because I just created one. Now we want to edit the one that I created the other day and not the one that I created today. And there I have my first problem because I think, oh, I gave the same acronym, which one was it? But of course, it's the one with the lower proposal ID number. Okay, and then how do you edit it? You go across here to Actions, you click, and then you have 2 possibilities. You can delete the proposal. So let's say you've created a proposal and it's your first time in the tools and you've made a mess of it and you don't know what to do. You could choose to delete it and start from scratch. This is quite okay. As long as it's not submitted, you can delete the proposal. In this case, we want to edit the draft. You see this brings us directly back into the proposals forms, okay? Doesn't mean you're stuck there. You can go back to the participants list and you can manage the consortium again, okay? So this, okay, it's the same consortium that I had in the other proposal, but in fact it is a different proposal. So you see the contact I added is not there. Let's add that contact back in. Let's give a fake email address, so I don't care. Okay, we're good. Save and go to the next step. You have to change the administrative forms, we know. And then we're going back to the proposal forms. Okay, it's a little bit slow this morning. And that's always a risk. If you're doing this at 1 minute before 5 and it's a bit slow and sleepy because everybody else is doing it at 1 minute before 5, you might miss out. So again, don't hesitate to submit a proposal very early. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the Part A form. So you click on that button there, it will open a new tab. And then it will show you this PDF style display. Okay, then you can navigate between, you've got 3 main sections for this call. Section 4 is not used, it's there, but it's not used for this call. You've got general information, participants, and budget. Okay, let's look at the general information first. So this is all pretty basic stuff. So you've got the acronym that we put in when we created the proposal. We can change that here if we want to. So if we put, say it's proposal number 2, it's a proposal title. Okay, that will be blank when you first edit the forms, as is duration and all the rest. It's mostly blank. It's just the acronym and the abstract, which was called the short summary in the creation screen, that get copied across. You'll see some of these have an asterisk next to them, and that means they are mandatory fields. What does a mandatory field mean? It means that if you leave this blank, you will have an error situation and you will not be able to submit the proposal. Okay, we have 2 levels of errors, warnings and error. An error shows up as red and you cannot submit. A warning shows up as yellow. It means you can submit, but maybe you have some data missing that should normally be there and you should probably check it and give that information if possible. Okay, so you supply an abstract, that's like a summary of the proposal. Scroll down, have you submitted a similar proposal in the past? The chances are no, or certainly not with these tools. The problem you may have here is if you have submitted a similar proposal in the past, that it will ask for the proposal reference or contract number, but then that needs to be in the format of the eGrants tools, which in your case probably would not apply. It needs to be a 6-digit or a 9-digit number. So I would tend to say no here, but document it in your proposal form if it was previously submitted. That would be a better approach. We have a set of declarations. This is not a formal declaration of honour at this stage. It's just high-level legal declarations that, for instance, the partners in the consortium have their consent to be used, and that all the information you're submitting is to the best of your knowledge correct, and so on. This first one is a blocking error if you don't check it. Okay, and you see it's highlighted in red. Okay, when does that get highlighted in red? It's when you first save the form or validate the form. So up at the top here, you've got some navigation buttons, and one of them is validate form. Let's click on that and see what happens. And it sees that we have some error situations. Okay, so that declaration is missing. We have a partner that their information hasn't yet been checked. So I added, first of all, when I created this proposal, I just had my coordinating organization. I filled in the information. Afterwards, I added Fred blogs, and I haven't yet visited that section. So if you do make a change to the consortium, until you go to the part A, you will have an error condition and you will not be able to submit. Okay, so you have to update the part A. And we have a warning in the budget, which is a bit specific to this call, and we'll go through that when we get there, because you need to enter the budget in a certain way. I mean, it's not critical, but you just need to be aware. So I've gone back to this section here with the declarations. We scroll down and that's it. Very, very high level information at submission time. Okay, I'm going to leave that declaration as a red so you can see what happens on submit. We're going to go to participants and contacts now. So there we have the two from the consortium screen. I've already completed the coordinator organization, so let's have a look at the partner information. The first screen you get is read-only, and it's information that's been retrieved from the participants database. So when you create your pick, it's basically getting that information from there. Maybe not all of the information will be furnished when you first create your pick, it will come later. So don't worry too much about if some of these are unknown. But if you do see any errors here and information that's not correct, the only way to fix it is to go to your organization and change it there. You cannot change it here, it's read-only. So then we go and we look at the partner information. So you can specify a department, you can add multiple departments. In the case of this partner, we don't care. So we say not applicable, and we scroll down, and then we're missing some contact information. So this is information that's not supplied from the pick, for instance. So we have to give it here. So we don't want a department, the same as organization name, same as organization address. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. Okay. And now the budget. So we have a budget line for each of the partners in the consortium. Okay. But the requirement for this call, it's a fixed amount of 55,000 euros. And we ask that you put that amount on the coordinating organization thus. That means you will receive a warning if you have a partner because it has a 0 requested grant amount, but it doesn't matter. It's just a warning. It won't block anything. So it's normal for this call. Okay. And that's actually it. We've completed everything. So it's a very, very limited amount of information you need to put in the administrative forms. The guts of your proposal are all in your PDFs that you upload. So I'm saving and exiting the form now. And as far as I'm concerned, okay, I've finished. I think I've done everything. So let's imagine I want to submit and I'm done. So we're back on the proposal form screen. And I'm going to submit it. Of course, we already know it's not going to work. Why is it not going to work? Because we didn't click the declaration in the part A, but also that we're missing the mandatory annex award criteria. Now, if you click on this, it will take you back into the form, so you can make the edit directly. So we need to check that, and we're done. Now if we validate the form, you'll see we just have that one budget warning, so that's as good as we're going to get. So we save it and exit. And then we know we're missing the annex. Okay, so how do you get your annex? Obviously, you've already created it, but you've just forgot to upload it, or you just whatever. You just click on upload. And you see here's some I prepared earlier. Okay. So then you would want, yes, the award criteria. Well, let's say I picked the wrong one, selection criteria, accidentally. It doesn't like it because it can see we've already uploaded that same document. It's basically looking at the name, but it was a common error in the past that people would upload duplicate documents. So we at least check the name of the document that's uploaded. So it won't allow you to do it. Okay, so let's upload it again. Award criteria. Okay. So what can you do with these documents from here? You can delete them. So let's try removing. There you go. It's gone. And now we're missing an annex again. So let's re-upload one. Declaration on honor. So these are your formal declarations of honor, not the ones in the Part A form. Okay. And it's back. You can also download the document from here. So you can download and check that you've got the right thing. And you can also do a print preview. So if you click on that, it will take your Part A and render it as a PDF document and put together with all the Part B documents that you've uploaded into a single file. No, he's lying. It's only the Part A. Sorry. It will show you your Part A document. Apologies. I didn't get enough sleep last night. You'll see the full proposal on the next screen. Okay. We found the right tab. Okay. So now we've got everything uploaded. The Part A is completed, and now we can submit. This time it should be fine. Everything is ready. And there you go. Now it's asking that, or rather stating that you've got a warning. Yes, we know we've got a warning. It was for the budget. Okay, but we don't care. If you like, you can put a message as to why you're submitting with a warning, but you don't have to do that. Don't have to do that. You can just ignore it for this. So you click OK. Voila, we have a proposal submitted. And here now you have a final proposal ID, and that proposal ID remains the same for the life cycle of this proposal. I would say project, but that's if you were using the full tools. After a short while, a complete PDF of the document can be generated with all the documents joined together and sealed with an electronic receipt. And you can download that from here when this button becomes available. Can sometimes be very fast, can sometimes take a day, depending on the load on the tools. You can download your full proposal from here. What you can also do from here is you can go back and update the proposal directly. So if you click on that, you'll go back to the previous screen and you can change it. But again, be aware, any changes that you make to the proposal are not taken into account unless you resubmit them. It's very important. We only ever have one version of the proposal submitted. We don't keep versions, and you have to submit for any changes to be taken into account. Okay. You can also withdraw the proposal from here. So let's say you've submitted it and then you decide you don't want to go any further with it. You can click on withdraw proposal. In fact, that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it afterwards. Now I'm going to go back to the portal. I'm going to refresh. And my proposals tab. And then you see we still have the two EFSA proposals, but now the one is submitted. Then you can go back to that proposal here, edit the draft, view submitted. I actually want to withdraw this because I don't want a test proposal submitted. I will get shot. Okay, now we have the download available, so let's see what that looks like. Very good. Okay, so this, see, it's the part A that I entered. And then if you scroll down further, you will see all the PDFs that I uploaded are also added into this file. Okay, and they're just the blank templates, but these are essentially the templates that you will see downloaded when you open the zip. And if you scroll all the way to the end, you'll see this has an official e-receipt, seal, whatever you want to call it. If you try to edit this document, it will break this certificate. So it's a little bit of a guarantee that we've submitted what you submitted, okay? So that's available for you too. And then you can also check the content and make sure that you've submitted what you think you've submitted. Again, do that well before the deadline. Don't delay. Okay, now I'm going to withdraw this proposal because it's a test. And that is basically it. What you can do is you can, this proposal has been withdrawn, but it's still available under the My Proposals tab. You can go back into it and you can submit it again and flip it back to submitted if you change your mind again. It's very, very flexible. Okay. And that's it, folks. It's quite simple, actually. So the main message is don't delay, do it early, don't stress. If you do hit any roadblocks, email and call the submission service desk as soon as possible, and they will deblock you very, very quickly. The tool works on almost any operating system and any browser. It just needs to be a HTML5 browser, but Linux, Mac, Windows, all works fine, no problems. You don't need any plugins or any special tools to use it. So, okay, any questions? Do we take questions? Simple, huh?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for your presentation and for this live demo. Now I think we can move to the questions and answers. If you can, we'll take some of the questions. My colleague Donna has been replying some of the questions addressed to us. So I think, Dave, we are going to take your questions first. So there are several questions for you. One of them, I think it's very relevant. Is there a clear guide in the portal for all this information? And so people can really check all these. So this is one of the main questions. Is there a clear guide? Also, the signatures can be digital. And one, yes, maybe we can put Dave on screen, and then so.
Yeah, there's
the signatures can be digital. Do the fellows have?
The first question was, is there help? Yes, there's lots and lots of help on the Funding and Tenders portal. So as I mentioned right at the beginning, at the top, you've got a menu, and there's one, how to participate. So if you go in there, there's a very clear guidance on how to create your pick, how to find your call, how to create a proposal. It's all there. Okay, there are instructional videos, there are manuals, you can really go down the rabbit hole.
Yes, there's lots and lots of help on the funding and tenders portal. So as I mentioned right at the beginning, at the top you've got a menu.
I've got a
and
delayed
there's one,
echo.
how to participate.
Okay, do you still hear me?
So there are some questions regarding also the, for example, are all the institutions already loaded with their own PIC or no? Also,
No.
if the main, if the main contact can be changed in the future if needed. And also the one that I think it relates, can anyone register an organization? And finally, this short summary that has been entered after the acronym can be changed later because apparently people cannot really see a facility to do this. And last but not least, what does the validate button do next to the uploaded annexes? Is it advisable, mandatory to click validate every time or before, after upload? If you need a repetition, I can repeat the questions.
Yeah, there's no way I would remember all of those, unfortunately. So the first question from before was about digital signatures. So you hear me okay still, by the way? Okay, good. Yeah, everything is digitally signed. There's no blue ink signature in this process at all. So don't worry about that. Now I have to try and remember all the other questions. Regarding the summary, yes, you can change that as much as you like in the part A. Okay, it updates it each time. Regarding the validation, this is just a technical validation of the content of the part A form. Okay, that's all it does. So we'll see whether you're missing some data or not. And then as to how important that is, so whether it's an error message or a warning message. If it's an error message, remember that you cannot submit the proposal. Could you remind me the other questions, because I don't have a photographic memory?
Sorry that I was not, I could not hear you at the same time. So I have you replied the one regarding if anyone can register an organization, and if all the organizations have are already uploaded with their own PIC. So those were the questions. Yeah, and okay. Also if yes, and if you can yes, okay, yes, sorry, I think it's better, yes. So have you already replied those? I'm sorry because I could not hear you at the same time for some technical issue.
Yeah, I've got a weird I've got a strange audio thing going on. I'm just going to kill one session I've got here.
Now you are mute, Dave.
Thanks. Now you hear me, yeah? Indeed, anybody can create a PIC for any organization. I mean, we cannot control that. That cannot be controlled, not at the creation phase. But obviously, the EFSA applicants are all privileged applicants in a special list, so they're not going to be doing any monkey business like that. So, yeah, but in principle, you can create the PIC for your organization. It's very easy when you create the PIC because we ask for a very limited amount of content. But should you be going forward to normally receive a grant, then you will be asked for the official documents to be uploaded by the validation team that we have in the tools. So yes, it will come, but it comes later in the process. In terms of do all applicants already have a PIC? Not necessarily. Some will, some won't. It depends whether they've applied for funding for other EU granting programs. Some of the larger organizations probably have, some of the smaller organizations probably not, because we do support more than 50 programs with this set of tools. So there's a lot of cross-pollination in terms of application of grants. I don't hear muted. Yeah.
Yes, apologies, I was muted now. I think the next question was if the main contact can be changed in the future.
Yes, yes, you can. You can change the main contact. Basically, you add a new one and you say this is the main contact. They become the main contact, and then you can delete the other contact if you wish so. But you always have to have a main contact for every organization in the consortium.
Thank you, Dave. Next question was, does the partner contact details? Sorry. Does the partner contact details have to be the fellow, or can it be a contact person within a department of an organization?
That would be rather a business question than a technical question, I would say. From the IT point of view, we don't care. But from the EFSA point of view, maybe you do.
And I think all the questions from Dave or for Dave have been replied. And I'm just checking the box now, just to make sure that we don't. Yes, sorry, there was another question. This one, yeah, it was my bad. I'm sorry that I read many questions at the same time. So the one regarding the validation button, that if it's advisable or mandatory to validate, but I think that you have already replied to this question.
In fact, maybe just to clarify, when you save the form, or submit the proposal, it will perform a validation anyway. So you don't have to explicitly click the validate button, but it will go through the same process behind the scenes.
Okay, thank you. There is a last question. Okay, there is a last question now regarding the partner searching tool. If you could show it, how it works, or how it.
You want to see it again?
Yes, but or maybe we can post here because I think there is a guideline how to use the partner searching tool. So maybe we can link it.
They can't hear you, Dina, because you're not.
Or I can, if you want to, can I share my screen?
Yeah, Dave, please share your screen.
Yeah.
If you could show it again.
Do you see it, Funding and Tenders portal?
Yes.
Okay, it's not very clear for me for some reason. Okay, so if we go into my proposals and we go into, still says submitted, it's not, but that's just a little ugly sometimes. It will fix itself shortly. Okay, so we go back to the participants. So here, so we can change an organization, and the search dialog is always the same. Okay, so whether you're creating a proposal or adding to the consortium or changing an organization, it always looks the same. You've got to find your organization, and then you can type in here whatever you like. I mean, before we were using answers, I think it was. Okay, so it finds answers. But you can also type on the VAT number. You can also type on the street name, the company name. It's like a Google type search. Food authority, for instance. Sure, that's a good search, but just for the hell of it, what will it come back with? Okay. Halal Food Authority, Agriculture and Food Authority, Hellenic Food Authority. So it's kind of just like a Google search. It's not as good as a Google search, but it's kind of halfway there. It gives you the first 9 top hits. Okay, the more information you can put in the search, obviously, the better. If you don't see in those first 9 hits one you're looking for, you can also view a longer list. And it will show you the next 200 or the first 200. Okay, that's another way to look. You can scroll through these. That's basically it. I mean, if you don't find it, then you can create a new one, and then if it's discovered further downstream that in fact you already had one, then they can be merged. So it's not the end of the world if that happens either. Right? I mean, it's preferable to use the pick if you have one, but if somehow you do get a duplicate created, it can be resolved later.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for this new live demo of the partner search function. I think it's one of the right now one of the most useful functions of the portal at the beginning of this call, now that has been recently launched. And I think we don't have more questions for you. I think we have a couple of questions that I can. Okay, that I can address myself. So I will start because I see that my colleague Donna is still she's typing on the chat and she's replying some of the questions already in the chat. So the first question we have is the time of the fellow stay at the hosting site, if it can be extended to 8 months or split it into stages. Well, to facilitate the participation of all type of applicants, the stay at the hosting site has been limited to a time ranging from 3 to 5 months, and this is what is going to be evaluated in the proposal, because this is what it is stated in the call. In any case, if both organizations, hosting site and fellow sending organization, agreed something in the previous ulterior stage of the call, so once the call has been awarded, when the grant has been awarded, and they identify the need for the fellow to stay longer, this can be agreed between both organizations, but always taking into consideration 2 things. First, that EFSA is going to evaluate the proposal considering the range that is intended in the call, so from 3 to 5 months. And second, that according to the terms of the call, the stay of the fellow needs to be covered with the grant amount, so needs to be paid by the fellow sending organization. So please check the call and the terms for this. So in principle, I would say that the call is going to be evaluated, so your proposal is going to evaluate it according to the terms of the call, so from 3 to 5 months of a stay. Second question that we have is the nationality of the fellow a criterion. Well, no, unlike in the past, the nationality of the fellow is not an eligibility or a selection criterion in this call, as long as the rest of the criteria are met. That is, that the fellow works or has a working relation with an Article 36 organization. This relationship has been ongoing for for over 12 months, or minimum of 12 months by the time of the deadline of the call. That the fellow meets the other criteria regarding the background, so a university degree, a level of English of a minimum B2, and an experience on food safety, wide understood as risk assessment, risk communication, or risk management on food safety, of a minimum of 3 years and a maximum of 15 years. So nationality is not a criterion in this call. Okay, I think we have managed to go, because I see there are some new questions. Okay, yes, we have a question here regarding the funding for moving in the hosting institution. I think has been replied above in another question regarding that the grant amount, so the 55,000 euros are intended to cover or to support, what I said, to support the costs, including the mission costs of the fellow attending or going to the hosting site for this stay. Okay, I see there are a couple of questions regarding the how to support the partner, the searching for partners from EFSA side. Well, apart from using this partner searching function on the portal that we think that is extremely useful, and it should really help you to advertise your proposals and your search for partners, you can contact your national focal points that can also support you in identification of partners within the network of focal points and with the other member states, Iceland and Norway. So we kindly invite you to contact your national focal point. You can find the list of contact details of focal points on the EFSA's website. I will post exactly where here in the chat. And you can contact the national focal point for this support in identification of partners. So please, as I always say, keep calm and contact your focal points. I will post now when we finish reading the questions. I will post the link to the EFSA's website where you can find the list of all member states representatives. And this one maybe is for Donna, so if you can take it, please. Could you please clarify further what is? Sorry, you have already replied. I'm sorry. It was not scrolling down. So I think. Okay, the partner search function. Maybe this one is for. Maybe this one is for all of us. I'm not very sure. Does the partner search function also as a search for willing consortium partners, looking for a fellow sending organization? I would say yes. You can post your search for partners regardless of you being or intended to be a fellow sending organization or a hosting site. Yes, Donna, please go ahead.
Yeah, just on that point, it's important to remember that the partner search function within the tool that Dave demonstrated, it is not possible for there to be any limitation on who registers within there. So organizations must be very careful to check that potential partners that they see registered there are on the Article 36 list, because it is not possible for us to block non-Article 36 organisations from registering and interest in being a partner there. So it's very important that you check for yourself that any partners that you might find through that forum are registered on the Article 36 list, and we can provide the link for you to check who are Article 36 organisations.
Thank you, Donna. I think we have reached, I don't know if we have more questions coming in the chat right now. We still have time.
I think.
Okay, maybe you can. Okay, Donna, maybe you can. We can check this one together. If a fellow is external to the Article 36 organization and comes outside the European Union, but is affiliated to a small degree to an Article 36 organization, is he or she still eligible?
No, I mean, it's clear in the call
that the fellow needs to be a staff member of the Article 36 organisation. Also, this leads to another question which was posted, is the UK part of the EU-FORA programme? It's not, so only organisations that are approved and designated by their member state and approved by the EFSA Management Board are included on the Article 36 list, and the UK is no longer included on that list. So organisations outside EU member states would not be eligible. Of course, that does not include Norway and Iceland, who do have organisations on the Article 36 list. One thing that we would also add is that all the questions that you've posted today in the chat, we will be taking those and putting them in written format and publishing them on the EFSA website and in the EU funding and tenders portal, with a full written answer to each of the questions, just in case anything was not clear from the presentation today, or in case anything was missed or misunderstood, in case there are some questions that still remain unanswered.
Yes, indeed, Donna. And also, I would like to add that you can always contact us in any of the 2 email addresses that we have indicated at the beginning of the presentation. So either to EFSA procurement@efsa.europa.eu or to the regular EUFORA functional mailbox. So you can always address any further questions that you may have, and they will always be replied. If they are call related or related to the ongoing call, they will be anonymized and also replied in writing, and the clarification will be published on our website. So no need to wait for the follow-up session in February for your questions to be replied or to be addressed. I think we have just one more question right now. The identification of partners through NCP is slow. How to meet the deadline? Donna?
So I assume NCP, you mean national contact points, the national focal points. If that's the case, I mean, this is why we have launched the call in November, and the deadline is not until the 15th of March. So there is a long time in which it's foreseen that you can find a partner. That should be done via the national focal points if you're struggling, also through the tool which has been demonstrated today. You can go and register there if you would like to offer a work program as a hosting site. You can also register there the contrary. So if you are considering having a member of your staff acting as a fellow and following a program. So we think that the deadline of almost January, February, March, So nearly just over 4 months should be sufficient to find partners through either the focal points or the funding and tenders portal function for consortium finding.
I think we have reached the end of our intended time for this webinar. So I would like to thank you all. I would like to thank especially Dave for joining us from the Commission for this very interesting and very useful live demo. And of course, my colleague Donna for also for her presentation, and everyone that you cannot see in this room, but there are quite a few colleagues supporting us to make sure that this webinar would work well. I thank you all for your participation, for your active questions. For as we said, there will be a follow-up session that will be announced via the regular channels. Please keep an eye on your focal points and your national contact points for these, because they can indeed support you in not only the identification of partners, but also in the next steps and in all the steps regarding calls and other cooperation tools with EFSA. And we seize this opportunity to wish you a nice break. If you celebrate Christmas, have a nice time with your families, and see you in a couple of months again. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.